In this video, I'm going to answer the 10 questions that can solve traffic and growth forever. These are the most powerful questions I know to grow your business, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur and you want to grow fast. So what are these 10 questions? Let's jump into it. So question number one is, who already has my exact audience and what deal would make it a no-brainer for them to promote me? This question comes from Jay Abraham. And so why does this question matter? This replaces years of content creation with borrowed trust and distribution. So one great partnership can outperform 1,000 posts on content. And I'll give you a couple of stories to illustrate the point. In my early days, I was working with a dance fitness membership, and she had just one friend who ran an email marketing business for moms and wives. She had an email list of 1.2 million people, and that friend, that partner, emailed her 1.2 million people when my client had launched her dance membership. And from that one email, she got 1,100 signups at $1,900 a month. So almost $20,000 in monthly recurring revenue from one partnership, no content, very clean and easy. And another one of my partners, one of my friends, runs a Tai Chi membership, and he partnered with a yoga instructor. That one email that yoga instructor sent got him 1,000 new leads and 10 signups into his monthly membership. And that was right away. So there's still more people that might convert later. So who has your exact audience? How do you make a deal with them that makes it a no-brainer to promote? Is a faster path than creating 1,000 posts on Instagram or 100 YouTube videos. So ask yourself that question. It'll help you grow. Question number two, what single action do I want somebody to take after watching my content? So this question is going to help you get clear and help your audience get clear on how they actually work with you. So no piece of content, it's called an orphan piece of content. You don't want to create orphan pieces of content that don't lead anywhere. All of your content, no matter what platform it's on, should say, join my email list, join my free community. You want to use your content to build your list. And the question that you ask is, what's the single action that you want someone to take after they consume your content? And a common mistake is that people have multiple actions they want them to take. They'll say, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on TikTok, get on my Instagram. And all of those cause leaks in the bucket. So this is a Russell Brunson question, and it says, why does it matter? Most traffic problems are not actually traffic problems, they're call to action problems. So when every post drives to one action, then traffic compounds instead of leaking. And so the biggest thing you should do if you're creating social media and you're struggling to generate traffic is you have to just one outcome, one action after every piece of content. Question number three, what result do my customers actually pay me for? So this comes from Alex Ramosi. Why does this question matter? Traffic grows automatically when your message names the outcome that people already want. This question sharpens hooks, headlines, and offers all at once. So the question is, what result do my best customers actually pay me for? And depending on what industry you're in, you're going to ask that question and you're going to get a different answer. For me, most of my customers pay me for clarity and direction. So if you're trying to build a solo business and you're unclear about what to do, you don't know where to allocate your focus, you don't know, what it's going to look like in 6 months. I've been down the road, so I can help you get clear on what you're doing and get you a good direction, which usually means more leads, more money, and less work. But everybody's different, every industry is different, so you want to know what result do your best customers actually pay you for. Question four, if I could only use one platform, one format, and have one offer, which would I choose? This question comes from Tim Ferriss. Why does this matter? So constraints create clarity. So if you have a limited number of actions you can take, then it's going to get you really clear on what's going to produce the most results. This moves delusion, burnout, and scattered growth. It removes dilution, burnout, and scattered growth. Traffic accelerates and focus when traffic accelerates and focus increases. And so if you can only choose one platform, one format, and one offer, which would you choose? And personally, a lot of coaches and experts are trying to do social media, and the platform they should choose is partnerships. They should find people who already have their list. They should offer to teach their audience something, and then they should upsell to their core offer. That's the fastest and easiest way to grow. And especially if you don't like social media, you don't like creating videos, then you can make tremendous amount of money by just leveraging partnerships as long as you know how to find the right partnerships. And then you can have one platform, partnerships, one format can be like a webinar, and then one offer is usually, and the one offer, if you guys don't know what your offer should be, should always be more or more with help. those are the two offers and upsells. So whatever you offer online or whatever you're teaching, you offer more of it, charge some money, or more with help, charge more money. What proof would make it a no-brainer for my best client to purchase, for someone like my best client to purchase? This is an Alex Hermosi question. Why does it matter? Proof converts faster than persuasion. So if you're trying to convince people to purchase, that's going to take a lot longer than just saying, here's the result that this person got. Proof. And so you want to get really core proof, and you want to ask yourself, what proof makes it a no-brainer for somebody to work with you? And so when proof is clear, traffic quality improves and volume becomes less important. So if you have testimonials, share your testimonials all the time. And also ask people to shape those testimonials in a way that builds the belief up the most so people would actually want to work with you. You know, a weak testimonial might do more damage than help. So, really get some no-brainer proof. If you can if you can share screenshots or pictures or videos, those are usually more helpful as well. But you really want to dial in proof. What's the highest and best proof you can get to make it a no-brainer for a client to take action to work with you? Question number 6. Who could send me 1,000 qualified leads faster than I could create them myself? This question comes from Jay Abraham. Why does this question matter? This reframes growth as access, not effort. So instead of putting more effort in and thinking that that's what's going to get you to grow, it's actually getting access to the right people, the right networks, the right groups, the right email lists. And if you can get access, you can grow really fast. So, the high leverage points, the people who can get you thousands of leads are going to be podcast people, people who have newsletters, people who have communities, people who have big audiences wherever they are, conferences, lots of different examples. But one partner can get you thousands of leads. I've showed a couple examples of that already, but most people don't ask that question. What's the one way I can get 1,000 leads faster than I could do it myself? Great question to solve your leads problem. What false belief does my audience currently hold that's keeping them stuck? So this question is from Russell Brunson. Why does this matter? Great content doesn't inform, it reframes. So your idea of content is to reframe, reshape the way that your audience is seeing the world. So tell them who is the real enemy. That's why they're not succeeding. Tell them the way the world actually works. Tell them, what they're capable of that they thought they weren't capable of. So great content doesn't inform, it reframes. And then and your traffic's gonna spike when you can articulate a belief or a mindset better than anyone else. So it's more about clarity with your traffic and with your content than it is about persuading and informing, right? You can inform people all day. Tons of people do that on the internet, but you really want to get people clarity on how to see the world. What would my business look like if I was only allowed to work 10 hours per week? So this is a Tim Ferriss question. Why it matters. This eliminates low leverage traffic tactics and focuses on systems, automation, and partnerships. Growth becomes calm instead of chaotic. So again, constraints are powerful. If you can only work 10 hours per week, it forces you to ask what's the highest and best use of your time and your focus. And then you might realize like, hey, I'm wasting my time creating these TikTok things. I'm wasting my time creating Instagram Reels, or I'm wasting my time cold emailing people or DMing people, right? You'll realize what's wasting your time, and you'll be able to say, my focus is better over here because this is what actually produces results. So ask yourself, if you could only work 10 hours per week, what would you work on? And that will help you grow your business. Question number 9, what is the most unfair advantage that I already have? Why this matters. The fastest growth usually comes from amplifying strengths and what's already working. This question gives you a real edge. This question gives you what your real edge is, not your aspirational one. So a quick story about an unfair advantage. One of the people that I work with is a great healer, and he's done some work with Tony Robbins and worked at Tony Robbins events. That is a unfair advantage, right? He's worked with Tony Robbins, which gives him tons of credibility. And so he should be sharing that publicly very regularly, because when people are trying to decide who to work with, if people know that, it gives him a huge advantage over people choosing to work with him over the other person who's kind of like him, might even be equally talented or more talented, but they don't have that unfair advantage or that competitive advantage. For me, I have an unfair advantage because we've built a 7-figure yoga business and we've built memberships, and so I know how to do it. And so I have proof that I can point to that's an unfair advantage over somebody who's just been digital marketing and helping other people, but not actually running businesses. But you want to ask yourself, what unfair advantage do you already have? And then how can you amplify it? And then question number 10, what is the most direct path from attention to money? This is a question from Alex Hermosi. Why does this matter? Traffic without monetization is just noise. The question collapses funnels, simplifies calls to action, and aligns content with revenue. So the question is, what is the most direct path from attention to money? And so another way to think about this is what is your clicks to close? So if you're building an online business, how many clicks do people need to take in order to work with you and give you money? And you really want that to be as few clicks as possible. So one of the things when I start working with people is we'll go through their funnel. Where do people click first, second, third, and then when do they actually give you money? And a lot of times, if they're not doing a good job, it'll be they'll go to Instagram and then you'll go to their link in bio and then you'll open their link of bio and there'll be 5 or 6 places to click. And then people will click on their website and then it goes to their website. And then maybe there's a login button, but then they have to choose different memberships. And so it'll be multiple clicks to close. And that's just going to cause people to leave, get distracted, especially with the internet. It's hard to stay focused. And so you want to limit the number of clicks to close with your online funnel, right? So ideally they're on your Instagram, they're clicking, and then they're on a purchase page, or they're watching you on a webinar and there's a link in the description and then they can go purchase. So you want to minimize the clicks to close. So ask yourself, what is the most direct path from attention to money? And so those 10 questions will tremendously help your business, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're trying to build a powerful, profitable business. So just to review the 10 questions again, who already has my exact audience and what deal can I make with them to have them promote me be a no-brainer? Boy, I'm going to say that one again. Let's start over. The 10 questions, again, that will solve traffic and growth. Who already has my exact audience and what deal would I make with them that could promote me, obviously? All right, we're going to try that again. Who already has my exact audience and what deal could I make with them so they would promote me? Say it that way. What is the single action I want someone to take after consuming a piece of my content? What results do my best customers actually pay me for? If I could only use one platform, one format, one offer, which would I choose? What proof would make it a no-brainer for someone like my best client? What proof would make it a no-brainer for someone like my best client? Who could send me 1,000 qualified leads faster than I could create them myself? What false belief does my audience currently have that keeps them stuck? What would my business look like if I could only work 10 hours per week? What is the most unfair advantage that I already have? And the last question is, what is the most direct path from attention to money? So those are the 10 questions, very powerful questions. If you want help implementing these questions or getting the answers to them, you can join my Skool group, which is free, but you got to apply. I have the list of all these questions in here as well, so you can see what they're like. And just go to the About page, right? And I share all the resources for people who are solo entrepreneurs building one-person businesses. And I would love to have you in there if you're a good fit. Hope this video was helpful.